I still remember exactly how it felt when she said it. Not the date, not the time, just the way it landed. We were sitting in the living room. She was perched at the edge of the couch, scrolling through her phone, barely acknowledging my presence. I had just walked through the door after a long shift, drained but still trying to stay connected, to show up for her like I always tried to. I asked how her day was, a simple attempt to keep the connection alive. She let out a dry laugh, the kind that doesn't come from humor but from contempt. She barely glanced up from her screen as she delivered the words that would echo in my mind long after. You ask that like you actually do anything. You can't even protect me. You're too weak to be a real man. Her voice was sharp, her tone flat, almost bored, as if what she said was simply a fact, not an insult. The room seemed to freeze around me. For a moment, I questioned whether I'd misunderstood. Was she joking? Testing me? But her face didn't move. No smile. No correction. Just emptiness. And that made it worse, because I knew she meant every word. The truth was, it wasn't the first time. For years, she had been slicing into me with little comments, barely noticeable at first. Comparisons to other men, colleagues, acquaintances, men who were apparently more decisive, more assertive, more manly than me. Whenever I shared my feelings, she called me too sensitive. When I paused to think before reacting, she accused me of being indecisive. Piece by piece, she chipped away at who I was. But I kept forgiving. I excused it as stress, as temporary frustration. I kept hoping she didn't realize the damage she was causing. But that night, there was no more room for doubt. She didn't just see me as weak. She saw me as disposable. I rose from the chair quietly. She barely noticed at first. When she finally looked up, she raised an eyebrow in annoyance. What now? Going to sulk like a child? Still, I said nothing. There was no shouting, no anger, only silence. I calmly walked to the bedroom, opened a suitcase, and started packing. Just the essentials. Enough to leave. She followed, her voice sharp and mocking. Seriously? You're leaving? That's your solution? That's what a real man does? Runs away? I zipped the bag, slung it over my shoulder, and walked out the door without a word. Not because I was running from something, but because I was finally walking towards something else. Peace. The call started soon after. Her parents, our friends, people we both knew, all stunned. Everyone wanted answers. Why would I leave my marriage like that, out of nowhere? But I didn't give them any. I never told them about the emotional wounds, the slow erosion of my confidence, the countless times I silently begged for respect. I let her tell whatever story she needed to tell. I didn't need to defend myself. Starting over wasn't easy. I spent the first few nights in a cheap motel, then crashed on a friend's couch until I managed to scrape together enough for a small apartment. I picked up extra shifts, worked 2 jobs, and rebuilt my life from nothing. And then something incredible happened. The more space I put between us, the stronger I felt, not in the physical sense, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I started remembering the man I used to be before I shrank myself to fit inside her ever-shifting expectations. I went back to boxing, something I hadn't done in years. I reconnected with my brother, the one she always insisted was a bad influence. I started therapy, which helped me finally untangle everything I had endured. And through that work, I finally saw it clearly. I wasn't weak. I was loyal. I was patient. I was kind. And none of those are flaws, they're strengths. Real strength isn't loud or violent. It's steady, quiet, resilient. Over a year has passed. I've heard that she's now dating some flashy corporate guy who shows off his money. And if that makes her happy, good for her. Let him carry the weight of trying to fill the emptiness she never stopped feeding. I don't hate her, but I no longer recognize the version of myself I had to become to survive in that relationship. That man no longer exists. Sometimes real strength is found in simply choosing to walk away and never looking back. And that's exactly what I did. And I've never been prouder of who I've become.